following is a presentation of the Pro Wrestling Report. Informative, entertaining, and real since 1998.
Come get on that.
Coming in now on the Pro Wrestling Report Prime Time, we have an exclusive one-on-one interview with the legendary Chris Jericho. We also take a look back at this Monday's WWE Raw and a preview of tomorrow's WWE Battleground on pay-per-view. This past Thursday night on Impact Wrestling, Hulk Hogan quits TNA, and we have all the details on what it means for his future in wrestling. Also have a major Blizzard Brawl talent announcement in the Event Center, and all that happens right here, right now on My 24 Milwaukee.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime TV with your hosts, David Hero and Damian Nelson.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report Primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside Mike Wickett from Sports Radio WSSP 1250 AM, sitting in for Dave Hero this week. Mike, it is so great to have you here, even though we have a bit of a sordid history.
It has been far too long, Damian, since I have been on the Pro Wrestling Report, so I can honestly say, finally, Mike Wickett has returned, has come back to the Pro Wrestling Report.
Well, it is an honor and a privilege to have you sitting in the stead of David Hero. But my question for you is, what happened to your left arm there, Michael?
Actually, my arm's fine, but I figure since Dave's not here that, he couldn't be here. I might as well represent, and this is paying homage to my good friend, the leader of the Super Friends, Dave Hero. No, my arm's fine. It's totally fine.
Was that the provision by which he allowed you to sit in his chair?
Yeah, I had to actually come with a lot of pens. You can see there's a lot of pens. There's pain medication, and the arm sling. So glad to be here.
And much like him, your phone not far away.
Right here. Always got to have it, right? Always got to have it.
Well, folks, it's a big weekend in professional wrestling, and let's kick it off with this week's WWE Raw Report. And you know what? We talked a lot about Raw. Linda and I did this past Thursday night on PWR Thursday, and I really don't feel like talking more about it because not much good happened aside from the Rhodes Family Summit. But tomorrow night on pay-per-view, it's WWE Battleground. Now, let's put this all in perspective for you, folks.
It's called what?
Battleground. Not Battleship.
Battleground.
Sinking.
Okay, Battleground.
Battleground.
This is a real pay-per-view.
It is a real pay-per-view.
People are paying money for this.
People are paying money for this.
All right.
And people are paying upwards of $55 for this. Now, here's what's key about that. September, we had a pay-per-view. We have Hell in a Cell at the end of October.
Of course.
Between those two pay-per-views is Battleground. Over that span of time of those three pay-per-views is 6 weeks. $55 a pop. That's adding up to a lot of money. And by the way, WWE has truly not given me any reason whatsoever to believe that if I wake up Monday morning having not seen Battleground, that I will have missed anything. This is a lot to ask of the wrestling audience to shell out all these bucks over the course of a 6-week period, and then to only have 2 to 3 weeks to build between those shows. They have not set themselves up for success.
What number are we on here? 45 different pay-per-views? I mean, it seems like every other week there's another pay-per-view, and there's always a countdown. There's a briefcase and a cell and, a slam. Whatever happened, you and I are from the old school. We're a lot alike, Damian and I. We're from the old school. There were 4. Growing up, there were 4 pay-per-views. How many are we up to now?
We're at 13 from WWE and 4 from TNA this year.
That's a lot to the wrestling fan to shell out every seemingly couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm. And you talk about back in the day when there were only 4, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam,
and the
Survivor
Thanksgiving
Series.
Tradition.
And
the old school Thanksgiving tradition as well.
Thanksgiving night, where screw the fam. You went into, and in my case, it was my grandmother's den, and not watched the pay-per-view because they didn't order it, of course. But you could use that old trick that she used to use to watch
the scrambler.
AB.
Oh yeah.
But that is so true, and they meant something. Now they're nothing but revenue streams for WWE. Now, you could say Night of Champions was good. Daniel Bryan became the WWE champion. You could say SummerSlam was good. But really, right now, right here, 3 weeks after Night of Champions, that's a forgotten pay-per-view event.
It just seems like when you have these events like Battleground and tables, ladders, and chairs and all these things, they're not any more heavier weighted than WrestleMania. And the only thing about WrestleMania that makes it more special is it's an hour longer. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Other than that, there really is no extra incentive for me to go out and get WrestleMania as opposed to SummerSlam, as opposed to Battleground. And for kids like myself, when I was saving up to get WrestleMania 6 when the Warrior took on Hulk Hogan,
very good.
That was one of my favorite events ever, and that meant the world to me. It still means the world to me.
you're making a choice. Likely as a wrestling fan, you're making a choice. Are you going to buy Battleground tomorrow night, which will be nothing more than 3 hours of Raw, and I'd like to say without the commercials, but we'll likely get commercials.
Lots of commercials and promos. Yep.
It's a daunting task, and WWE deserves the fault. But at the same time, they're not set up to make this a worthwhile venture. I don't care about Battleground. I'm sorry. There are some good things that will happen on the pay-per-view, though. What will happen with the held-up WWE Championship between Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan? Will Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, Goldust, get their jobs in WWE as they take on the Shield for the Tag Team Championships? Curtis Axel versus R-Truth? Woo! I don't care. I really don't care. It's just, I'm sorry. Two great performers. One's the Intercontinental Champion. You got Paul Heyman as well. What's going to happen with CM Punk? There's the good stuff that will happen, but at the same time, $55 is the choice I'm making, and I'm not sure I can push that button on my pay-per-view remote tomorrow to make that choice.
I love the way you put it. It's a 3-hour Raw. It really is a 3-hour Raw without commercials, and it's not gonna be anything more than that. Nothing that's going to affect the grand landscape down the road, because as you mentioned, in a few weeks we get to do it all over again.
Hell in a cell.
That's right.
You know, WWE SmackDown was in town here in Milwaukee last week, I believe it was, or 2 weeks ago, and you had the opportunity down at Sports Radio WSSP to have a major superstar in studio with you. The man who holds the Money in the Bank briefcase, Damien Sandow. Tell us a little about your experience there with Sandow.
Really nice guy. I'll tell you what, Damien Sandow, the Money in the Bank champion, very, very nice guy. He was, really easy to talk to, and the cool thing about having him in is, he's a guy that definitely wants to enlighten the unwashed masses, like yourself.
Silence.
Well, silence. I learned how to do it properly as well, in case I ever have children, but that's never gonna happen. Really great guy, and you know what? Learning a little bit about his background, where he came from, who he used to train with, who he used to idolize. It's really cool to get those guys in studio and have a one-on-one conversation with them. So it's cool.
Did you get a chance to open the briefcase? Did he show you the contents?
No, but he actually what did he do? He Sandowed the briefcase. You know, it floats. It has a homing device because it was thrown in the Atlantic Ocean not too long ago.
By the endorsed Cody Rhodes. Yes.
You and your Cody Rhodes.
Oh, he is a top star in this business right now.
Goodness, that's an opinion, not a fact, by the way. But it was great to meet him, and when he chooses, as he kept saying over and over again, to cash it in, it'll be worth it.
All right. Well, that is this week's WWE report, and Battleground is tomorrow night. And choose as you may. Order it if you want, but I think you can tune into us next Thursday and get just as much as you'll get out of Battleground. But there's much more still to come here on the Pro Wrestling Report, including up next, our exclusive one-on-one interview with Chris Jericho. After that, we talk about Hulk Hogan quitting TNA this past Thursday on Impact, and we have got all the details on what that means for his future in wrestling. But before the Jericho interview, Linda Kay is going to be with you to tell you about a major talent that has just been announced for Blizzard Brawl. All that happens when we come back right here on My 24 Milwaukee.
I went on down to the Audubon Zoo and they all asked for you. They all asked for you. Who? Well, they even inquired about you.
Welcome to the PWR Event Center, brought to you by Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all. GLCW shenanigans at Turner Hall in downtown Milwaukee has been postponed due to unforeseen circumstances. Tickets for the event will be honored at the rescheduled event, which will be taking place in March. GLCW apologizes for the postponement and wants to ensure that you know that Blizzard Brawl is still coming to Waukesha in December. And just announced for Blizzard Brawl is WWE Hall of Famer Ron Simmons. For updates, head over to blizzardbrawl.com. And that's it for this week's Event Center, presented to you by Gruber Law Offices. Now it's time to go to an exclusive interview that Damien conducted recently with Chris Jericho. Damien, take it away.
Ian Nelson here at the Rave, downtown Milwaukee, standing alongside a true legend in several different entertainment ventures, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, welcome to Milwaukee. Fozzy is going to be performing here tonight at the Rave, and while a lot of people know you, of course, from your time in WWE, WCW, wrestling in general, tell us a little bit about Fozzy, how it came to be, and what it is that people can expect here tonight.
Well, it's kind of a big question to answer since we've been doing this for 13 years. So mostly, I guess, on this tour, this is the Sin and Bones tour. We've been on this for the last year. We've done 16 countries already. I think over 100 shows, and this is about the 8th or 9th show of this tour. Fozzy and Saxon kind of crisscrossing the States again. So yeah, it's been great. It's been a great last 3 or 4 years for the band, and we've got a great fan base worldwide and really working on the States as well. And the last record went #1 on Billboard, on the Heat Seeker charts, and Sandpaper was top 10 hit, et cetera, et cetera. So it's been good. It's been a good couple of years for us.
Good, and a tremendous venue to perform at here at the Rave.
Yeah.
Vintage, but rock all the way.
It's cool. Last year we toured with Shinedown and we played all the amphitheaters. And this tour with Saxon, we're going to do all kind of the more famous venues like the Rave here. We did Machine Shop in Flint, BB King's in New York City. So you get a chance to play kind of some of the famous theaters and halls like that. So it's been good.
Awesome. You talk about Fozzy. Fozzy actually formed in 1999. I think he became part of it somewhere in 2000, 2001-ish.
Oh, 99.
99? Oh, sorry. I got to do better research.
Absolutely.
But what I do know... Exactly. Well, they're always right?
Yeah, right.
What I do know is also in 1999, you made your debut in World Wrestling Entertainment. I was actually at the Allstate Arena in Chicago on that night. And as I think about and look at all the things that you've done and all the successes you've had, one question I have is, does life get any better being a rock star, a wrestling star, a person who's penned 2 books, a 3rd on the way? I mean, what else can Jericho do?
Yeah, I can't give birth.
That's true.
No, I mean, just it all stems back to when I was a kid. I wanted to be in a rock band and I wanted to be a wrestler. Those were my 2 goals, and I didn't really see any reasons why I couldn't do that. I mean, everyone told me the reasons why it wouldn't happen, and I just never really thought of that. I just thought of the reasons why it would happen, it could happen. And kind of been doing both my whole life. I mean, obviously wrestling took off and became, what I became in wrestling. Still always continue to play music, and now music is growing to kind of the same level. So it's just, I think I read Arnold Schwarzenegger's book recently, his autobiography, and he said that when he was a kid, about my age, when I decided what I wanted to do, that he wanted to be, he told all his friends he was going to be the biggest bodybuilder in the world and the biggest movie star, and everyone thought he was crazy. Yeah. And it's kind of the same thing of what I did, wrestling and music, you can't do that. And I was like, maybe I think I can. And I just kind of always put my focus onto that. So it's kind of always followed my dreams. So yeah, I guess I'm some luck, a lot of hard work, a lot of stupidity, a lot of tenaciousness. We just never took no for an answer, basically.
And are the two industries really that far apart from each other? Wrestling being sports entertainment.
Well, I mean, there's similarities. One of the biggest one is probably the fact that it's both connecting with a live audience. You have to really communicate with your crowd, connect with your crowd if you're going to get any type of reaction. If the people really follow what you're doing and want to pay money to see you, you have to ingratiate yourself with them. So both music and wrestling are very high aggressive forms of entertainment, a lot of energy. A lot depends on the reactions from the crowds that you get, on how good the show is. Yeah. You can have the most perfect match in the world, the most perfect concert in the world. If nobody's giving you any reactions, then you failed.
Right.
If you go out there and make some mistakes or botch, as the internet likes to call it, or hit
that term.
Yes, or hit some wrong notes on stage singing, and the crowd is going crazy at the end of it, then that's all that matters. Yeah. It's all about the live reaction of the crowd, and that's why I think I've done as well as I have in both, because I always wanted to be a rock and roll frontman in the world of wrestling. And then when we started Fozzy, I took the same characteristics that I'd used in wrestling that I'd stolen from rock and roll in the first place. So they're very much interlaced for a lot of ways.
And in wrestling, you've been, I would like to, the master manipulator almost, where you've got the audience always right in the palm of your hand. You look at your multiple returns to WWE, in between touring with Fozzy, and every time it was something different. And how do you come up with what is going to be next as far as Chris Jericho? Because you've surprised us every single time.
Yeah, I don't know. I just always had a lot of ideas. I always liked the vignettes when I was a kid watching wrestling. And show, Outback Jack, in the Australian wilderness or something. And it always just kind of added to the intrigue of who this character was and what they were about to do. And I mean, the first one obviously I thought was a great idea, the countdown clock,
Yeah.
and then kind of the cryptic messages, save us, and then the end of the world as we know it was kind of the third version of that. And that one people kind of figured out that it was me towards the end.
Yeah.
So when I came back at the Royal Rumble this year, I thought it'd be just fun to just do it as a surprise and really screw people up, you know, which it worked great. We were able to keep it a secret, which in this day and age is almost impossible.
Right, exactly.
But you know, yeah, it worked out good. So I just kind of just go with the flow with whatever's happening at the time and kind of just go from there. I always put myself as a fan first, whether it's wrestling or whether it's music. What would I like to see if I went and saw a band, or if I went to a wrestling match or was watching the show? What would intrigue me the most? And that's kind of where it always stems from for me, because I'm still a fan of everything that I'm involved in. It makes it a lot easier to think of cool things and cool ideas.
Because you're almost thinking about what's cool to me. What would I want to see?
Almost is exactly what I'm thinking. That's what I'm saying, because I'm a fan of everything. I just think, what would I want to see, or what would I not want to see if I went to a wrestling match or went to a show, a rock show?
Now, going back to Fozzie's music has been used on several WWE pay-per-view themes. How does that make you feel, knowing that, you know, your worlds are colliding, if you will, and now the wrestling company that you work for is using your music to sell their events?
Yeah, it's cool. And the cool thing about it is we have to submit our tune just like everybody else. There's no free ride, you know. So they chose Enemy, they chose Martyr No More, they chose Sandpaper, which is, you know, they're all really great songs. And you know, it's interesting because I had to keep, and I want to keep the worlds separate. I mean, this has never been a wrestling band. I mean, it was hard enough to finally make people understand that this was a real band. It wasn't a novelty project or a vanity project for me. So it takes a while to kind of get people's understanding that this is the real deal, and that's why our fan base has grown so much. A lot of people know what they're going to get with us. And one of the reasons is I've been very specific in keeping the two worlds apart. You know, it's never been, you know, singing about, you know, jumping off the third rope and hitting each other with steel chairs. I mean, it's not that type of thing. So to even have our songs used with WWE is very cool, but I have to make sure that they don't focus ever that it's Chris Jericho's band, it's just Fozzy. And I think people have heard our names so many times, we've been touring for so long, that now people that like us, love us, people who haven't heard us, check us out for the first time and fall in love, and then people who don't know us are like, who the hell is this Fozzy? We keep hearing the name over and over again. Let's check it out. If you like heavy metal music, if you like hard rock music, you'll like Fozzy. It's kind of, you know, I always say that we're like a combination of, we play very heavy riffs, very melodic vocals, so it's like a Metallica and Journey and a bastard child would be Fozzy. So if you like those bands or anything in between, you probably like us.
Nice. WrestleMania. You've been a big part of many of them. And obviously WrestleMania is the greatest stage in professional wrestling. It is the Super Bowl of wrestling. What is WrestleMania for Fozzy? What is the aspiration? Where is that holy grail, if you will, for Fozzy to get to that would be on the same level? What do you want to do?
In a lot of ways we've already had that. I mean, we played Download in 2012 in England, which was in front of 40,000 people. We did Wacken this year in Germany, which was in front of like 70,000 people. So we've had those big shows, you know, so we've had kind of like the second or third match at WrestleMania type gigs. Obviously the vibe is you want to play on top. You want to be the main event of WrestleMania, close to it. So, and it's like anything else. I mean, even in the WWE, sometimes you go have a show in Madison, Wisconsin, and there'll be 1,200 people there. So, and other shows will have 70,000 because WrestleMania. So, you know, same thing with Fozzy. We play huge gigs, we play small gigs, and everything in between. But for us, every show is WrestleMania. Because we're happy to be playing. We know how fortunate we are to be a touring, living, breathing rock and roll band in this day and age. And we want everybody to want to please the people that come to see us and are huge fans, and want the people that don't know us to walk out becoming Fozzy fans. And that's why, you know, a tour like Fozzy and Saxon is great. Legendary, influential metal band. It's been playing for 35 years. There's gonna have a lot of fans that have no idea who Fozzy is. Our band that gets played, you know, on US Rock Radio alongside of Vince Sevenfold for Valentine might not know who Saxon is. And at the end of the night, you walk out of there with fans for both. So that's kind of how we're at. We take every show seriously, just like I always took every match I've had seriously. I never looked at it as what's the size of the crowd. I look at it as what do I feel like doing tonight. I've had some of the best matches in front of the smallest crowds in my career. Some of the worst matches in front of the biggest crowds in my career. So,
you know, you make that, you talk about going to see and discovering a band, if you will. And you mentioned Journey earlier. I went to a Def Leppard concert several years ago, and Journey was the opening act. And at that point, I had not heard of Journey. Immediately fell in love. So that is indeed, it's what happens.
you haven't heard of Journey.
I know, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you do. You know? I mean, that's the beauty of touring. We have a very varied fan base as well. So we grind down the Slayer. I throw it with both of them. So it's good just to go out there and play, and that's how you expand your fan base. It's just like being independent when you first start wrestling. You gotta get your name out there.
You've been to Milwaukee several times, our great city of Milwaukee. What is your favorite Milwaukee memory?
It's funny because my favorite Milwaukee memory off the top of my head is I saw Iron Maiden here in 2000
Really?
at the amphitheater by the lake. It was the first
Marcus
time.
Amphitheater?
Marcus Amphitheater. The first time I ever met them and became friends with them was there. So I always remember, Milwaukee's the Iron Maiden town. But from wrestling, I don't remember a lot of stuff. Oh, this is where Goldberg and I got in our famous fight. Was in the dressing room / downstairs area of the
Bradley Center.
Of the Bradley Center. So that's probably my biggest Milwaukee. As far as wrestling there, I don't really remember a lot of actual wrestling moments.
Who won the fight? You were there.
Yeah, I mean, you can go online and find out that information.
Wikipedia again, or another site?
Read my second book.
Chris Jericho, it is such a pleasure and honor to meet you. I've been a fan for a very long time, watching your work, watching you do Fozzy as well. And again, like I said before, you've accomplished so much. It's amazing, and it's really tremendous to see the successes continue. Now, the question that's out there that a lot of people are going to be asking is, obviously, Fozzy's tour, and by the way, coming to Joliet, Illinois on October 16th.
That's right, yeah. We originally were going to be there last night, but it didn't work out, so now October 16th, Joliet.
And it's Fozzy.
Yeah, just us.
Headlining and doing it all right.
Right.
Fantastic. Joliet, Illinois, I think the venue is called Mojo's.
Yeah.
And that's just south of Chicago, so it's not very far from here. So if you missed the show at the Rave, head on down to Joliet. Good luck with everything.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Well, you lost your train of thought there. You said the question everyone's going to ask is,
when are you coming back to WWE?
Yeah, that's the question. I honestly, I don't know. It's like not like I'm keeping a secret or have some kind of master plan. I just don't really think about things like that. I just kind of go with what's going on, and I enjoyed my time back there earlier in 2013. I think it was one of the best runs I've ever had in my career. Had a great time with it, but it was always the plan to come on tour with Fozzy, and we continued the tour in July, and we're continuing the tour. I think now it's the end of December. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I still enjoy wrestling, and I'm sure I'll come back at some point. But my days of being full-time WWE superstar are over, much to some people's chagrin. But that's just how it is. So hopefully at some point I'll come back because I had a great time this last run.
Yeah, awesome.
Thanks,
Chris,
man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time. Chris Jericho here on the Pro Wrestling Report on My 24 Milwaukee.
I went on down to the Audubon Zoo and they all asked for you. They all asked for you. Well, they even inquired about you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Pro Wrestling Report, primetime Saturday night. Damian Nelson sitting here alongside Mike Wickett. We need a nickname for you, Mike.
You know, you can call me whatever you want, Damian. Whatever you want to.
That's a door you may not want to open.
That's very, very true. Actually,
what do your friends call you? Or what does your friend call you?
My friend Dave Hero. My friend Dave refers to me as Wicked. So,
Wicked.
You know, and for this time being, I know that you and I have not exactly.
Are you the wickety Mac Daddy? The wickety Mac?
There's people watching when you do that. You know that, by the way.
Well, I don't know if they try to rhyme, but they can't rhyme like this.
Oh, that's right. My friend Damien, he's got mad flow and drops fat beats.
Mike Wickett sitting in for Dave Hero. Mike Wickett from Sports Radio 1250 WSSP. Dave Hero actually is going to be back next week, right there in his chair again. Now,
well, good, because I can only fill this seat for so long.
You know, we're on the 4th floor here at the My 24 studios, and I don't quite know how, with his foot surgery, he's going to be able to navigate. Because there is no elevator here. There's a ramp that goes up around the outside of the building.
We're going to have to get him a rascal and have him drive on in at a very slow pace.
Rascal. And a jitterbug phone.
How is Dave doing, by the way?
I don't
Dave,
care.
Thoughts and prayers to you, buddy. I care. I miss you.
Let's go to this week's TNA Wrestling Report, and a major story developed this past Thursday night on Impact Wrestling as Hulk Hogan quits. Yes, indeed, quits TNA Impact Wrestling. Now, you might be wondering why, or if it was a story, or if it is the truth. Well, we talked last week about Hulk Hogan's contract coming to an end in Impact Wrestling. His contract reportedly expired on October 1st, this past Tuesday. So they taped that show last Thursday. It was a taped version of Impact tonight. Hogan hopefully is gone from TNA Impact Wrestling, and this says nothing bad about Hulk Hogan, but this says to what Arda Ocal and I spoke about here this time last week, Hulk Hogan's lack of investment return from TNA Impact Wrestling. And to your point even, Michael, I know you don't watch Impact very often.
No, because both of the people that watch Impact, I don't know.
Stop it.
I'm
They're
sorry.
up to 8 now.
Okay, that's right. The nearly full dozen people that watch TNA, I understand. But first of all, when you say, I hope he retires or I hope he quit.
I hope he's done with TNA Impact
Nobody
Wrestling.
wants to see Hulk Hogan gone from the business. So I hope whatever his next adventure, his next endeavor is, it's special for wrestling fans. That being said, I mean, all 6 or 7 people that watch TNA cannot be paying the salary of a legend just like Hulk Hogan.
Let's be fair and in truth in broadcasting.
What?
They average about 1 million viewers a week on Thursday nights.
Wow, that's like a high-rated hockey game on NBC Sports. I mean, let's call it what it is. There's more people watching the Penguins and the Capitals in January than there are watching 6 episodes of TNA combined. So, Hulk Hogan, we hope to see you again. I think it's a smart investment to get out and not put yourself through all the burden, because like you said, there's no return. And I don't think
That was a return for him. He's making
for
tens
him,
of thousands of dollars a week.
For the squandering company that is TNA. Come
Now
on.
look, you're the second guest host in as many weeks to sit in that chair, and you are the second guest host in as many weeks to bury TNA.
Well,
what's your problem with TNA Impact
I think
Wrestling?
the real question I have is why does it take a guest host to finally enlighten the unwashed masses about what a poor product
Sandow's
TNA
words,
actually
not
is? Why is that?
Wow.
Where have you been? Where's Mr. Hero been?
I
Hi,
am
Dave.
fair and balanced. I am a
fair
broadcast
and
journalist,
balanced.
and
Yes,
I am simply sharing all sides of the story.
I have heard that
All three
from
of them.
another news outlet before, and it's not fair and balanced in any way.
You know, I do actually like Bloomberg News. How dare you knock them like that?
Bound for glory.
That is coming up in a couple of weeks from Impact Wrestling. AJ Styles to take on Bully Ray for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. And TNA has one event outside of Bound for Glory in October, and that's next week's Impact taping. We'll see what happens with that. You know what? I got to say thank you to you, Mike Wickett, for
been a
sitting
pleasure.
in this week. I hope your arm gets worse.
Thank you very much, Dave.
And I didn't even mention, Matt, can I touch it?
Go
Can I
ahead.
touch it?
Always the velvet.
The velvet fog over here.
Always the velvet. It's been a pleasure sitting in this seat, and thoughts and prayers to Dave Hero. Get well soon, buddy.
Dave Hero returns next week here to PrimeTime. In the meantime and in between time, check us out at PWRshow.com, where you can order your tickets right now for Shenanigans in New Orleans, the SWO with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, and also Sweet and Sexy. Get your WrestleMania tickets now before anybody else can get them, only at PWRshow.com. For Wicket, this is Damian saying thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.